What is up, everybody? It's Dynamic here, and welcome back to another MLW video. Now, before we start this video talking about MLW video games and stuff like that, make sure y'all like and subscribe. Only about 20% of y'all who watch my videos are actually subbed, so if you're not subscribed yet, just subscribe. You can always unsubscribe later, and I make MLW content, so if you like MLW, you're gonna like my content, man. Now, to start this video, some of y'all might be asking, why are you making a video about an MLW video game? You know, we've heard nothing about an MLW video game. Why are you making a video about it? Well, I'm here to tell you guys that an MLW video game is actually much closer and much more possible than a lot of people think. If the community continues to ask for it and push for it, I believe that MLW will be getting a video game relatively soon. And no, I am not joking about that, and I'll explain why here. Now, I can't lie, I also think it'd be fun to talk about who would be the cover athlete, you know, the game modes of this game, the way it'd be looking. And don't worry, we'll get to that in the video. But I think the first thing we should talk about is logistics and just what MLW has said on the matter. And really, how possible is this? How close are we to getting a video game? If you know me personally, you know I love 2K, I love Madden, I love MLB The Show, like I love sports video games. And I think every wiffle ball fan and MLW fan could agree that a video game would be pretty cool. So we're going to see in this video how to do that. But yeah, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get into the logistics of this. So the truth is that the MLW doesn't really have an official statement on whether or not they're going to be producing a game. I looked through multiple podcasts, multiple forums on Reddit, and MLW and Kyle Schultz themselves have not actually put out something saying that they're looking to do it or they're not looking to do it. So it is pretty up in the air. What I will say is that the MLB has been investing into some other companies recently that are outsourced from baseball. So they are looking to partner with exterior companies such as a women's softball league or John Boy Media. But one thing that I think people can feel about this, especially if you're an MLW fan, is even though it might not be next up, the truth is that MLW right now doesn't really have the resources to put a bunch of money into a game, especially a console game. If you look at console pricing, for instance, an indie game would take anywhere from $50K to about $750K, and that's a lot of money considering that the MLW ropes in less than $300K a year. And most of that either goes back into the league's pockets or it goes into the league itself to make it better. So even if MLW wanted to carry out a huge investment of $50,000 to make a game, it would be the lowest quality console game that you could possibly make and would probably take a couple years to develop. However, something that I've said, as well as multiple people in the community have said, is that they should be focusing their resources, if they're going to do this, on making a mobile game. Mobile games are much cheaper. You can get them from $25K to $75K, and that is just less money and more smart, as there are a lot of kids who watch MLW who also don't have consoles themselves. So it might just be smarter if they were to do this, to do it on a mobile game platform. So from this point on, let's talk about it like this will be a complete mobile game. There will also need to be money put to marketing this game and updating the game as well. So this isn't just a small project, this would be a huge investment that would outreach to not just MLW fans, but it would have to outreach past MLW fans. If you don't know this, the MLW community just isn't big enough to outsource an entire app. For example, even if every single MLW subscriber joined the app, it would probably still be on the lower level of the sports games in the App Store. And I'm sorry to a lot of MLW fans to think that this is a disappointment, but it's true. Right now, MLW's audience is just not big enough to outsource an entire app. So for this game or app to happen in the first place, MLW's audience needs to grow to double or triple the size. But I do think it is possible that the MLW can do this in the next 2 to 3 years. Depending on certain circumstances, I can make another video about that later, but let's put down everything that we need to make this app possible. So obviously it needs to be a mobile game, but there needs to be player likeness as well. I think this is something that the game can achieve pretty much just off the fact that the players aren't even getting paid to be in the league. So I think being in a video game, especially if there are developers doing all the work, the players wouldn't have a problem with. It just depends on what Kyle would do with this. I think it would be fairly complicated, but I also think that since the players aren't getting paid in the first place, for them it's just interesting to be in a game. I don't think it'd be a big issue. Lastly, it would have to be a non-traditional sports game, and what I mean by that is there would not be a franchise mode or like a road to the show mode. There also wouldn't be like a my team mode or a my career mode or whatever you call it. It would literally just be the game itself. However, I think that going in a certain direction with this one will benefit. The way I'm going to envision this game or how the game would be played is kind of like if you've ever played like an EA Sports Madden Mobile or a FIFA, I think that this specific format could work. As long as there's devs upgrading the game and updating it year round, I think it's something that could work, and also it would push players to buy microtransactions, which would profit for the league. But sadly, if I'm being honest, this game is a couple years away from being made if it actually is made at one point. So I don't really want to talk about the logistics because logistics suck and they're boring. And I know I just spent 5 minutes talking about them, but let's just move on to the fun stuff, which would be stuff like the cover athlete and certain modes that they could put into this game. So in my opinion, the cover athlete of the game, if you saw the thumbnail right now, would be Ryan Cratch. It would have to. But also, if you wanted to pit a younger player, a more exciting player, I think there is an argument to be made about putting a guy like Sawyer Bean on the cover. There's even an argument to be made about putting a guy like Jordan Robles on the cover, even though he doesn't have that many years left in the league, they say. I still think he would be a really good choice because he is a fan favorite. I believe there's also a case for Kyle Schultz or even the Schultz brothers. I think that'd be a really cool cover idea for MLW. Now, game modes. I know I said that this game would most realistically be run kind of like a Diamond Dynasty Mobile or like a Madden Mobile, something like that. But I think that there could be game modes in the game as well. It would just depend on how they wanted to do it. And I think it'd be cool if there was obviously a play now, a kind of my career or like road to the show feature where, you know, you're being your own player and he is the only player that you control. I actually think that this would be a pretty simple game mechanic to add into the game. I don't think it would be that hard. Now, I want to also say that there'd be a franchise mode in this game, but that would be pretty complicated, especially with the way that Kyle kind of runs the league. It's not exactly like the NBA or NFL. There's a lot more to it than just that, and even though it's less complicated, in a couple ways it's more complicated, so there is that. So yeah, guys, let me know what you thought about this video. Do you think that there could be an MLW game coming? I personally think that eventually there might be, but you know, it is kind of a long shot, so leave the comments what you'd like to see from a game like this. What would you be happy with? And make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below what you want to see from me next. Of course, I make MLW content, so if you like that, subscribe, and peace.